Yah, for it is not subject to the law of Yah, neither can indeed be. So you have to start understanding what it meant to be spiritually minded and what's to be carnally minded. And you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to, as you learn this, because Paul, like here stated, hey, it's going your spiritual life will be dead if you are carnally minded. It's not you ain't gonna be getting those revelations. You ain't gonna be getting that quality time with Yah, because you're gonna be at enmity against him if you allowing a lot of carnal thoughts and stuff to flood your mind and you're not battling against them. This is one of the reasons why Babylon, why one I believe one reason why we were uh, so blind for a long time about who we were or whatever. We as black people, Hebrew people, were so consumed with us, taking care of our homes and protecting ourself, from uh, um, persecution during the slavery and stuff that we were in, right? And so a lot of time we didn't have a time to go into these the deep. Now, of course, we had professors and people like that taught the Bible or whatever. But remember, some of the places where they learned some of their theology were white seminaries, which was concerned about their thought. But as soon as we start getting other scholars of our own and everything, of course, we had a chance to start investigating certain things, dealing with the ancient world or whatever in the 60s and 70s, and it's been able to lead a lot of us to information and stuff that started to help us start shaping and forming an idea of what the ancient world, what we look like in the ancient world, instead of thinking that our history only began when we came here to America. And as we did that, it helped us to um, uh, come to understanding of even about the slave Bible and a lot of other things that had held back, and to change the mind of us on how important we really were, not only to America but also to the world, so that we could cast down some of these wicked imaginations that said that we were one third human, and our history, we were just swinging through ropes in the jungle before we came here, and none of us knew anything about Yah before we came here. That we got to thank Yah for bringing us here, or we would never became Christians. All this kind of wicked, evil imaginations that they put in our head. Now we have been able to cast those things down because we have more time to go and study. But then, like I said, to be carnally minded is death. We got to be spiritually minded, which is life and peace. That peace that Yeshua said will pass all understanding. And also that we wouldn't be at enmity against Yah. What is peace? Isaiah 26:3 says, Thou shalt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Do we trust in Yeshua? If we trust in Yeshua, we can trust that he will help us to overcome these thoughts, overcome these high things that, like evolution. I remember when I was in school, our professor, he was a Christian, a believer, and he said, "Okay, now y'all understand in order for you to get your degree, you got to know what the theory of evolution is. We don't believe in the theory of evolution. So when I'm teaching you this, don't, whatever you do, if you're a believer, don't take it to heart that's what it is. I just got to tell you this so that when you take the test, you'll know what the right answer is. Now, again, you have to have this stuff in your heart, because if you don't have the belief of Yeshua in your heart, these high things that assault themselves against the knowledge of Yah, it's some people that go on to believe, yeah, we theory of evolution makes sense to me, because I don't believe in Yah. Yeah, I do believe we came out of nothingness. No, we got to be able to cast these things down. How was they able to convince so many people after they came out with the theory of evolution that man, that Yah didn't create us, but that it was just a random chance, that mankind evolved out of mud, out of nothingness, the Big Bang Theory, which we know is nothing but when Yeshua said, "Let there be light," and the universe started its expanse, and everything was created by him and for him. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, we gotta trust. We gotta trust in Yah. We gotta trust in what His Word say, right? And that'll help us to stay in perfect peace. And a mind that is at peace is much more difficult for these evil thoughts to come into your head, these wicked imaginations. When you're calm, you cool, and you can say, that's not me thinking that. I'm not even thinking that. My mind is not even on that. I reject this thought. I don't receive this. Right? Look what Philippians 4:1-8 said. He said, therefore, well, actually, I'm gonna go down to verse 4. Philippians 4:4. It said, rejoice in the master always, and again I say rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The master is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto Yah. And the peace of Yah, which passeth all understanding, will keep your hearts and minds through Messiah Yeshua. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Well, right here, he said, first of all, one way we definitely can cast down these wicked imaginations and high things is through prayer. Prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto Yah. You definitely is going to have to be prayer, especially your babes in Yeshua. You're going to have to pray. You're going to have to pray, Yah, help you to strengthen the spirit man, so that the law of your mind, which is keyed into your flesh, will not get the upper hand. It's a battle. That's why Paul said, who shall deliver me from this body of death? But what happens is, as your spirit man gets stronger, it start nudging out the fleshly mind. But if you don't feed the spirit man, the fleshly man can actually nudge out the spirit man, and this is where you get what they call carnal Christian. Now, I have to believe that you can go to certain extents where I believe what you call carnal Christian is actually a person that has never really been born again. If you've been seeing a person that's been dealing with certain things for going on 5-10 years or whatever, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. It's got to be some progress. That's why he's saying, Paul's saying here, he's saying through prayer and supplication make known to Yah your thing, and he said, and the peace of Yah, which passes all understanding, will keep your hearts and minds through Messiah Yeshua. He said it's gonna get, Yah's gonna through Yeshua is gonna get you to that place that He gonna be able to keep your heart and mind, right? Where you ain't gonna be always having to, you know, deal with, brother, I can't, you know, certain things, okay, I say, like when we were in the Christian church, there was always the thing about women and dress codes and stuff, and they're saying, well, you gotta be mindful of some brothers or whatever. But I say that some of them, it didn't matter what the women were. Their moms was coming to the church to come after them, no matter if they was wearing a burlap bag. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter because their minds was, to go after, the opposite sex anyway, no matter what. So I always was cognizant of that because, you know what I'm saying, after you get to a certain extent, how when you are watching TV, like, we know that it's a TV commercials and stuff that comes on that has all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, if you that bad, then if you're saying, well, we're coming to church, then you shouldn't have no TVs in your house. You shouldn't have no magazines. You shouldn't, when you go out, you need to put a blinder on both sides of your head or whatever, so that you can only look forward or whatever. We gotta understand that at a certain time, you gotta be able to push that fleshly man out with that spiritual man. Like Paul stated one time, he said, aren't I able, if I want to lead a woman around? Right? Well, Paul stated, he said that I was as one born out of term, because he said basically Paul was almost born as an Enoch, where he didn't have no desire. He didn't have a desire for a woman sexually. I think he was born almost like that from the womb, right? And he said, and Yeshua even said, he said, some are made Enochs for the kingdom of God. Some make themselves like that, and some are involuntarily. Some are born like that out of birth, right? And so, to be able to cast down some of those the imaginations, we got to pray. We got to ask God to supply that need, and we got to thank Him for it. And He said, and the peace of Yah will help us. And then also, we also got to not concentrate on the negative. We got to concentrate on the positive, meaning we should not obsess on getting rid of so much all the evil thoughts. We need to concentrate on filling our mind with good things, which will push out the evil thoughts. Because that's what verse 8 of Philippians 4 said. He said, finally, my brother, whatsoever things are true. So these are some things that we can start filling our mind with to push out those evil imaginations and high things that cast itself. We got to fill our minds with stuff that's true. That's why this um talk about who we are as people, as we call it, the truth. This is so good because it's true. We can. It's so much information coming out. We can fill our mind with the truth of who we are. We can fill our mind with the truth of history. We can fill our mind with the truth of Yah, what He has done for us and what He has brought us through. We can fill our mind with the truth of His prophecies that are coming to pass. We fill our mind with things that are truth, with truth. Yeshua said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. No man cometh unto me, Father, but by me. We can fill our mind with the truth, with what's true. We can fill our mind with things that are honest. We can things that are honest. We can fill our mind with things that are just, dealing with justice, like we see this thing with the killings. or whatever, and we praying for justice. We looking at this thing and seeing if it's just, and if it's not just, we praying to Yah. We're saying that this is what we see to be justice, Father, and we want to believe that these things shall be ours, and therefore we thinking on these things, we praying on these things, and we praying that Yah will bring them forth. We also thinking on things that are pure, and we're thinking on things that are lovely. We thinking on those things of a good report. When we hear about the policeman being arrested because they commit, this is a good report. We hate that our brothers and our sisters were taken out unlawfully, but when Yah gives us a victory, we got to thank him for the good report. We gotta praise him on the good report, and so that we can start pulling some of these imaginations. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm only seeing the film of George Floyd's murder twice. That's all I could, because I just, my mind, I can see it now, no doubt about it. But I'm saying I was trying to keep those images from burning into my thing, because think about it, if you always fill in your mind with the images of the death, you can take on that persona of that. You don't want that. You aware of it, you know it, and you see, you look at it, you don't turn away. But after a certain amount of time, you gotta say, okay, now I gotta stop. I gotta stop bringing things in me that are true. I gotta bring things into me that are honest. I gotta bring things into me that are just. We gotta start concentrating on how can we make this thing right. We know that a lot of people protested, a lot of people went to legislatures, people prayed or whatever. We want to think on those things which are pure. We want to think on those things which are lovely, right? Those things of a good report. Trying to make this situation better, trying to go get some of the laws changed, reaching out to each other and trying to build strong, coalitions with each other, and also understanding that this place is not always going to be our home, but while we here, he said that we are to occupy, so that when we get these victories, where these police are being prosecuted, they're being fired or whatever, where in the time past it wouldn't happen, we can give praise to Yah for his justice, for his the thing of seeing a people that don't have weapons or anything like that be able to turn the system around, right? That's a good report. So if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Let's try to find something good out of the story, coming out of the story, that can encourage us and inspire us, and push some of the thoughts of death and destruction out of our mind, and say, okay, out of this, we were able to do this. We were able to defund police departments, which was getting too much money, and take some of that money and put it in community programs to which, of course, with the pandemic, there's not a lot of outside activity we can do now, of course, anyway. But if there's a partial lifting, that we have stuff that our youth, they have money that they can use for this, and also hopefully going in and taking out some of the laws, restructuring some of the laws that cities write for police departments on what they can do and what they can't do. We can think on we can think on these things and say, well, look, we was able to do this, that, and the other, right? Also, if we look at Matthew 6:25, and this is a very important thing that Yeshua said right here, verse 25 of chapter 6. He said, therefore I say to you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than the meat, and the body than raiment? The part I want you to concentrate on is he said here, take no thought, meaning let's not obsess on certain things too much. Just obsess on it. And so that's what I'm saying. If we find ourselves to a certain extent obsessing where we are consumed with a certain subject or whatever, we have to be careful that, because Yeshua said, "Don't take no thought." And now we know we gotta eat, we gotta sleep and everything, but even Yeshua said, "Don't obsess on that." So even with this thing with the police doing it, we even though it means our life, we can't obsess on it. Let it become our thought morning, noon, and night. This, like he said, take no thought for your life. Obviously, he wasn't saying that you didn't go out and, you know, see what you're gonna eat and drink. Well, he was talking about obsessing. Like, when I get up, that's all. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to survive every day. He said, "Nah, that's not do that. That's learn to enjoy the surroundings that we have and not let it." So just like with this stuff, with this police stuff and whatever else, don't let it obsess you to the point that it consume your life. Because he said, look at the birds. He said they're carefree. They they don't have stores and barns and stuff like that, but they're fed. He said, how much more does your heavenly Father think about you? And it's the same thing with, you know, the stuff that's going on out here. You know, we yeah, definitely got to get involved, but we can't get obsessed where it just overwhelms us, right? And then we also have here Romans 12, 1 and 2. He said, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yah, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yah, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yah. Right? So here he's saying that first we got to present our bodies as a spotless sacrifice, just like the spotless lambs that were presented in the temple, so that we can so we won't conform to this world, so that we can be transformed by the renewing of our minds, right? Renewing of our minds through what? Through the prayer, through the fasting, all these things. And that renewing of our mind starts transforming us into the image of Yeshua, because then 1 Corinthians 2 and 16 says this, for who has known the mind of the master that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Messiah. So we have, he said, if we do what Romans 1 and 2 says, we start allowing the things, like I said, fasting, praying, praising, putting our hand over our mouth before we speak our evil thought into existence. We start doing all these things. We can transform ourselves by renewing our mind, by strengthening the mind of the spirit man, and decreasing the law of your fleshly mind, so that you can have the mind of Yeshua, right? That he thought it not robbery. He learned obedience by the things that he suffered. All these things, right? Renew our minds. Renew our minds so that we can conform to the image of Yeshua. But he said it's not a race that you're gonna. There is a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a marathon, so it's not gonna happen overnight. Especially if you are a new believer, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to pace yourself. You're gonna have to pace yourself. It's be in it for the long run, right? It's 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 winnable. It's winnable because you're not gonna be racing against anybody. You just got to make it across the finish line. That's the good thing about this race. He said, "Run this race that is set before you." Right, looking unto Yeshua, which is the author and finisher of our salvation. So he's already stated that he's gonna help us through this thing. He's gonna help us through the weapons that he give us to cast down these wicked imaginations and these things that exalt themselves. Because we, like I said, are living in the time that's as the days of Noah was, where that thought was evil continually. So we have to, as believers, be able to master this thing, because one of the things that we must do, we must be able to hear clearly from Yah in these days and times, and we can't do that with the clutter of all these wicked imaginations and these high things that exalt themselves against God. We must master renewing our mind and strengthening the mind of the spirit in us. So that's our lesson for today. I hope you got something out of it. And if you see this video, I want you to give me a thumbs up. I want you to subscribe, and I want you to leave a comment. Be blessed.